So again, thank you all for joining me on this daily market analysis. It is the 21st of August. We're gonna get started. Like I was just saying earlier, US yen has been the big mover. Dollar index has dropped, is rebounding a little bit right now. So there hasn't been a lot of news, so we'll look into that. Price movements with the lack of news. Um, if you're on the session, do drop a message and say hi. Let me know where you're joining us from. For all the regulars, a big welcome back. If you have any questions at any point in time, please feel free to put into the chat and let me know. And you can help me out massively by remembering to click on that that thumbs up button, so we can get more people onto the stream, onto the video. If you're watching this after the stream, sharing the information that or getting more people onto the information that I'm sharing here. Okay, so again, any questions, put into the chat and let me know. Quick disclaimer, any information contained on this webinar should not be construed as advice and is presented as educational material only. The contents of this webinar are not intended to be a recommendation to trade a financial product. So please remember that your objectives, financial situation, and needs has not been considered. You should consider its appropriateness to your circumstances. Now, with that, take that away. Right, so here we are. Here we are. Okay, not a lot of news today. So a lot of activity. Thank you so much, Gumarins. I really appreciate that. Not a lot of news today. We had yesterday only the Canadian CPI number that was released. I'll tell you more about that shortly. But past the CPI, or before and after the Canadian CPI, there was not a lot of other news. But what we did see on the dollar index was that it pushed down, right? This was where we were yesterday at 3 p.m. This is where we were. It sat there and then it continued. So it was retracing that we said before it pushed down, continue to stay below 102.10, which was up there, right? Continuation to the downside below 101.80 as it pushed down. It stopped along 101.80, rebounded slightly, broke 101.80, and it traded down to 101.45, right? We were looking at 101.45. It came as low as 101.30 early this morning, right? So the dollar index saw that big downside move yesterday despite a lack of major news for the US. Reason being that again, there was more confirmation, rumors, or more confidence in the rumors, and speculation that the Fed Reserve was going to cut rates, was definitely going to cut rates in September. And that's why we saw the dollar index continue to push down from that 101.90 that we saw yesterday during the session to as low as 101.30 early this morning. But once it tested 101.30, it has been rebounding, retracing slightly since 8 a.m., well, since 7 a.m. this morning to the upside. Okay? So that was what happened on the dollar index. With the Canadian CPI, what was released, median CPI for the Canadians, it was a 2.6. It was expected to be released at 2.5. It got released at a 2.4. So again, increasing that confidence that the BOC, the Bank of Canada, could cut rates further as inflation growth slows down. While trimmed CPI was a 2.9, got revised down to 2.8. Expected 2.8 got released at a 2.7. Again, signaling a bit of a slowdown in inflation growth. With that said, then when you look at the US CAD or the loonie, We were expecting the dollar weakness to drag the US CAD down towards this support level. Sorry. Bit of cola. Hey Lindy, how you doing? All right, so we were expecting before the news for the US CAD to drag it down towards that 1.36 support level, and then for the news to signal a slowdown in inflation growth, and then the BOC could cut rates further. So some weakness in the CAD to push this back up before dollar weakness continue or to lead that continuation to the downside. Now, what happened was it did not drop as much as we expected, right? It dropped down to 1.3611 or 1.3610 on release of the news. You see, news was released at 8:30 p.m. GMT plus 8. On release of the news, at that point, we did see the CAD push up, and then continuation of the downside for the dollar, saw that come right back down. So it was pretty much as planned. If I move this right up like that, right, it's pretty much as planned. Just only thing was it didn't drop as much as we initially expected. So the CAD moved as planned or as expected with the CPI data being released, but it wasn't tradable because we were expecting it to break that support level at 1.36. But that's okay. That was yesterday. Let's look at what's happening today. With today, when it comes up, not a lot, not a lot of news for today. But look out for 2 a.m. GMT plus 8, where we have the US FOMC meeting minutes. Right, meeting minutes due to be released. It's not likely that we're going to see a big price movement on the due to the meeting minutes, because the last meeting they didn't do anything. We don't expect any earth-shattering news that could cause a big change in the minutes. So don't expect a big move there. And then through tomorrow, we have the PMI numbers. Okay. While I'm not expecting a big move on the minutes, you still want to pay a bit of attention to it just in case. Just in case there was one line there that says that September is a definite, or even one line there that says September is not a definite, right? One line that says September could be, but depending on data, that is going to throw the whole thing out of whack, because on the CME Fed Watch tool right now, what we're seeing is 100% likelihood to cut in September, with a 69.5% chance of 25 basis point rate cut and a 30% chance of a 50% or 50 basis point rate cut, right? 25 basis point on 69.5 and 30% chance for 50 basis point rate cut, slowly increasing, right? Slowly increasing through the last 2 days. With all that said, not a lot of news. FOMC meeting minutes to pay attention to later. PMI numbers through tomorrow, with unemployment numbers for the US to be released tomorrow. That's a weekly number. I'm not too keen on it. I'm not super keen on it, but it would or could have some relevance. And also watch out for the Jackson Hole Symposium starting on Friday. Now, with all that said, then looking at the dollar index, it's moved, right? It's retraced back up. If you were following me through the day today, you see that I was updating my lines, I was drawing new levels. I've got my fib level from this top down to this bottom. I had 23.6 there, initially expecting it to come up to 23.6 and turning back down. It didn't do that. It pushed up, so I took away 23.6, but I left 38.2. Right? I thought I might get to 50, didn't seem to get to 50. So it came up to about 38.2 and it's showing a push back down again. What I'm looking out for here on the dollar index, today being the 21st of August, we're looking for, well, retracement is not completed yet, right? So we're looking for retracement to complete, which means this one to close red and possibly the next one to close red as well to show a turning point. For retracement to complete, then a continuation of the downside below 101.30 could trade down to, I don't think you get to 100.80. I would say round number of 101, just at that point there. See, 101, about there. 110. Because there is a lack of news, I think 101.10 would be not a lot of space, so it could actually go a lot further. Right, so we're looking at that breakdown. Okay, now could trade down to 100.80 with a hesitation at 101. There we go. Right, so we're looking for this to push back down, continuation of the downside, then to trade down. It breaks below 101.30 to trade down towards the 100.80 with some hesitation along 101.10. There we go. Okay, let me see you again. Hey Stefan, how are you doing? Hey John, good to have you again. Now that makes sense. That's good. Okay, good. I'm happy with that. All right. We'll have it like that then. Needs to close down. I think if it closes below 101.45, we could see a further push down. Okay, so that's good. Looking for that to push to the downside. Then now looking at the Kiwi dollar. Right, looking at the Kiwi dollar, it had that big push up. I put in this earlier today, this Fibonacci, thinking that it could retrace down to that 6120 level if we did see the dollar index push up. Didn't happen. It seems to have pushed and came back down slightly along that 6140 level, consolidating. I would still look for this same setup here. Right, it could bounce. You could get in a little bit earlier, 20 pips earlier if it pushes back up. But I think that you would be looking at 6170, 20 to 50 to the upside on the Kiwi. Right, so basically it's came down. We're looking for it to push back up and do that. So 6170. I think 6170 45 20. Yep, okay. So we're looking at this at 6170 70, stop loss 20, take profit 45 to the upside. Then similar on the Aussie, right? It's pushed up. We had this from yesterday. I was too busy on trading the gold and trading gold and not the gold, trading gold and trading the yen pairs, the yen in particular. I didn't get onto the Aussie, but that went up and triggered. Still sitting in that consolidation. If you're in this trade, I would say hold on to it. If you're not in this trade, then I would say again, above 6, 7, maybe not actually. I was going to say above 6760, but that's only a 40 pip take, and that's a very interesting level, resistance level. So I think that if you're in the Aussie already, great, we look for it to trade up towards that resistance. But if you're not already in the Aussie, it looks like it's consolidating. It looks like it could push up towards that resistance, but I'm actually more interested to see what could happen here at this resistance level of 0.68. Right? So Aussie, I wouldn't do anything at this point. It's a little bit too near. I would say that we're going to be looking for reaction at 0.68 resistance level. Okay, so nothing on the Aussie now because let me see again. If you were thinking to buy it up, yeah, that's a 40 pip stop, 20 pip take, 20 pip stop, 40 pip take. You could do that, but I think that that's still a little bit narrow. I would like 6760, which is just under 40. So I would say let it break out, trade up towards that resistance, look for reaction at that resistance. If it breaks through, then you've got big clear skies ahead of you. Right? We're looking at that breaking through to the upside towards that 6887 resistance level up there. Okay, so nothing on the Aussie for now. Look at that. What a nice rejection. Almost like an art. Okay. Then, with that said, so now look, Kiwi, we're thinking that the Kiwi could push back up. So some Kiwi strength pushing it back up while the Aussie could sit there but also push back up. Then looking at the Aussie Kiwi, I was very focused on this at 12 o'clock when we saw that push up, and then again just before this session where we saw it pushing up because I thought that it came down quite nicely, tested at 61.8 and that trend line to push up. But Aussie dollar sitting a bit of consolidation, possibly some strength on the Kiwi is likely to lead to, let me take that away for now, is likely to lead to another retest of this area, right? So I think that it's going to come back in a little bit before pushing back up again on the Aussie Kiwi. So what I'll be looking at is 1.0990. So the same thing, 1.0990, 20 to 60 to the upside on the Aussie Kiwi. Right? But we're looking for it to test and reject. If it sits there and pushes up, as long as it stays above 1.0960, I think that it's a good test and reject to the upside. You want to see what happens on the Kiwi and the Aussie as well. Okay, does that all make sense to you so far? You know, put into the chat and let me know if it's all good, or if you're completely lost, put into the chat and let me know as well. And in the meantime, you can help me out by clicking on that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Looking at that. Yep, okay, I'm happy with that. Then on to the pound dollar. Thanks for that, Joe Marinos. On to the pound dollar. Yesterday we were saying look for reaction at 1.3040 resistance. It's come right up to that resistance level. I'll just zoom in and show you that. It's come right up to that 1.3040 resistance. Formed a bit of a pin or indecision or doji there and came right back down and consolidated just below. The good thing is that it seems like it's pushing back up, especially with the dollar showing that downside potential. So that's pushing up. And let me see if I have a supporting trend line to the upside as well. There we go. So what we're looking for here would be for it to break that resistance, to trade up with that dollar weakness, 1.3055, stop loss 30, take profit 80 to the upside. I'm actually thinking that you can go down to 40 just because I want it below that trend line. So 1.3055, 40 to 80 to the upside for the pound dollar. Where am I? There I am. Buy at 1.3055, stop loss 40, take profit 80 to the upside. Then on to the euro dollar. Again, a bit disappointing here on the euro dollar because it did not retrace down before pushing up, but it did go up to that take profit level, right? So it did get up to the take profit level at that 1.1130 level. Now, I'll zoom out again on the H4, you'll see that we had a big reaction here end of last year in December, where it came as high as 1.1140 before coming right back down again. So back to the H1, you would only be looking to get in if it goes above 1.1140. Actually, I'll keep that there. Hang on. I'll draw that box instead. All right, so we're looking at 1.1140 as that big, strong area that we reversed from last year, December last year. So that's pushed up. Trend line is there. Not even near to the trend line. Hey, Basanta, how you doing? Feels like it's been a long time. But this pushing up there. There we go. Right, so we want it to break past 1.1140. Looking at the dollar pushing back down, it does show that downside potential with no major news again, even on the euro. So we're looking for this to break out. It's pushing right now. 1.1150 stop loss will be about 30 pips. Take profit 100. Can I get to 100? Let me see. I'm on the daily time frame now. You could get to 100, but you might have a resistance at 1.12, which is fair. Okay, so again, back to the H1. There we go. 1.1150, stop loss 30, take profit 100. Let's put that in first. We're looking to buy at 1.1150, stop loss 30, take profit 100 with a hesitation at 1.12. There we go. 1.150, stop loss 30, that breaks out of that area, push up. Could see this push up 1.12, 100 pips. Good, I'm happy. Dollar weakness could drive this, could challenge for funding currency crown. But it needs to break out of this. It needs to close above this area, not just break out and form a tail or a shadow. It needs to close above this 1.1140 level before we could see that further upside push. Okay, and you also want to see the dollar index trading to the downside. Now, with that said, then looking at the euro pound, right? I was looking for that to come back, break that support. Doesn't seem like it's going to happen. I've been all over the place with the euro pound. Haven't had any trades triggered on the euro pound from what I remember. Big support here at the 23. Euro possibly pushing up. Could see this trade up. Pound, dollar possibly pushing up as well. Maybe a little bit earlier than the euro. We could see this being offset. I feel like it's going to stay within this range. That top there. What I'm seeing is a little bit of a indecision at this point. I possibly wouldn't do anything on the euro pound because it really depends on whether the pound dollar is going to climb first or the euro dollar is going to climb first. What I would best guess is it will consolidate along here. It will push down slightly before coming back in again. If you really wanted to, you'll be looking at 8545. Stop loss no 15 or no more than 20. And then your take profit will be a 40 pips back within this range. Right? So it's going to consolidate, maybe push down slightly, and then back within that range. Okay. Then that we look at the yen, right? US yen. This was a trade from yesterday. Remember, we were on the session where it started pushing to the downside and then it came back up and then it closed. Well, it came back, zoom in a bit. It came right back up and then it bounced around and it finally closed at 146.55. Got in a little bit later than I signaled on the, that I analyzed on the summary here at 146.80. I think I got in at 146.60, about there, right before the close, and then got out at about 100 and something pips to the downside. And then at night, before going to bed, took another trade down towards close to that 145 level before it bounced back up again this morning. Now, on the US yen, you see that big push down found 145, which is very close to that 61.8 level that we have pushing up, right? That Fibonacci retracement of 61.8 is at 144.70. that low round number of 145. So that's an important point to watch. Yesterday's drop, it's retraced right back up to between that 38.2 and 50% retracement. So it's sitting, it tested, and it's showing some push back down. Again, dollar index not completed its retracement yet, or retrace now, trying to complete its retracement, right? Not ready yet. I would say that if the dollar index does push back down, then we could see the yen push back down. What you also want to watch out for is that it needs to break, take this away, it needs to break below it. Ideally, you look for it to break below 145. I think below 145.40, we have a quick, could have an early trade to the downside. So 145.30, stop loss 30 pips, take profit, you have 60, and then you could be looking for further downside after that. Maybe first level would be down to 144 there. Okay, so that's what I would be looking at, that even with a first target level at 60, but even looking at 120 to the downside. Needs to close down. In fact, maybe that's a little bit aggressive. Could be looking at maybe a little bit more, 145.25. 145.25, 35 to 115. Okay, so on the US yen, we'll be looking to sell at 145.25. Stop loss 35. Take profit 115 with a hesitation at a 144.70. There we go. All right. Look, dollar not ready yet. It's not ready to completely push to the downside yet. It's trying. It's pushed down slightly, but then it's hesitating. It's retracing back up again. So what you want to see is that it comes down, forms a red candle, breaks a little bit lower, breaks that 101.30 level first. Then we can see that have a good push to the downside. That's it. Euro yen push down, found 61 point. So we had that trade, which would have been a good 56 pips to the downside. I didn't catch this. It came down, tested 61.8 and that trend line before pushing back up again. Now, support level here, yes. Pushing back up, yes. This is where it's going to be a little bit conflicting, because euro dollar sitting right there could push back down, but we're anticipating, that consolidation before a break to the upside. US yen could be dragging down, so we're thinking that maybe a little bit of indecision or consolidation here on the euro yen. I think that at this point, a good setup would be 161.35. Stop loss would be above that 61.8 level. So it break that trend line, 161.35. Stop loss 30. Take profit 90 to the downside. Right? We're looking for that to break down. Dragged down by the US yen and possibly in the scenario that the euro dollar rejects that resistance and pushes down. Earthquake. No, it's not an earthquake. Okay, it's all good. I'm still around. Right. So it's in case the euro dollar tested and rejects that resistance and pushes down, then we could see that drag all the way back down again. Now onto the pound yen. Didn't do too much, right? It pushed down a little bit before coming right back up. Now sitting in that range is right in the middle. Not too keen on the pound yen, right? Pound dollar undecided or consolidating below that resistance. US yen potentially pulling to the downside. So on pound yen, we're looking at yeah, I'm not super keen. Let me see. Yeah, it's broken that. So I still have my 38.2 right there as my support level. 1.8. Yeah. It's right in the middle. I don't think it's going to be worth trying to gamble on that move to the downside or to try and trade it up to that. Still depending on what the pound dollar is going to do and the US yen developing its move as well. Okay? Righto. No question is a good thing or no question is completely lost. Put it in the chat, let me know. With that, then on to the last couple. Our last few, we have the US Swiss franc. Right? Big drop. We've been looking at that push all the way to the downside. That was a support, now turned a resistance. And we were looking at this, but it only broke early this morning, so you shouldn't have had this trade. Right now, it's pushing back up. Right? Why is it pushing back up? It's testing that 61.8. The dollar is retracing slightly, so it's testing a little bit higher again. But for the US Swiss franc, what you want to see is that it doesn't go past, right? You want to make sure that, or not make sure, you can't do anything about it, but you want to see that the US Swiss franc doesn't go past 8580 before turning back down, right? That move 23.6 will be 8575. I'll put 8580. You want to see it stay below that point, or 86 looks like a good number as well, actually. Below that area to turn back down, so you're looking for a test and reject to sell down. 8545, stop loss 20, take profit 100. I don't see it getting to 100. I think that this will be a more realistic level, 40. So we're looking at US Swiss franc on the Swizzy, a test and reject 20 to 40 to the downside. 8545. Okay, so we were looking for it to break that support. So we're looking at 85. Well, we have it closed. 8545. Stop loss 20. Take profit 40. A little bit optimistic at 90 from yesterday. I think that we were looking for that big push, but you can still see the dollar not really ready to push down yet. Right? So we're going to keep that 50 back in there again. just in case. So we still want to see on the dollar, it needs to stay below that area. What if the dollar gains strength and or makes a double bottom at 102.20? At which point would it be appropriate to sell? The euro, it's gaining strength right now, either. So it's pushing back up, particularly on the euro dollar. I would say that I would have said that it needs to break that point. That's quite far away, right? That's a good, oh no, actually it's only 35, so that's fine. So I would say that it needs to break 23.6 before you look to sell down. 1.1065, stop loss 20, take profit, I don't think 25 to 60 to the downside. You're looking for that move. All right, so don't do anything in that triangle until it breaks that, then you see the downside move. Make sense? Make sense? Then back to the CAD. No worries, Haida. Thanks for asking. Now, CAD holding above this support level at 1.36, I would be thinking that, well, this is not going to fit. It's not going to fit what I want. But that's going to fit what I want. Okay, catch this point here. All right. So it's finding a good round number support at 1.36, looking like it could push back up if the dollar index does recover in strength. Possibly you could be looking at the US CAD to the upside. 1.3650, stop loss 20, take profit, say 40 to the upside, just because I want that point there. Okay, on dollar strength recovery, you could look to sell the euro. I would possibly be looking to sell the euro yen instead, or you could be looking to buy the US CAD up. So 1.3650, 1.3650, stop loss would be 20, take profit 40. 40. There we go. Look at that dollar. Had that push. Now, in 15 minutes, could be forming a pin bar. Could be forming a pin bar to the upside that's could push it further up, or I might be jinxing it as it holds at 101 dot, or holds below 101.60. Wait, and be patient. Okay, then lucky last, we look at gold. This was something I posted pretty much across my social media, where we saw gold with that inverted head and shoulder, and it pushed up. We said this before it pushed higher, inverted head and shoulder, breaking 25.10, could reach 25.20, beyond that 25.30. And what did gold do? It went during our session. It pushed up, broke 25.10, went up within the hour, the next hour to 25.20, and over the next couple of hours through the night got up to 25.30, hit 25.30, and then came right back down again towards that 25.10 level, holding at this point. Okay, so very happy with that on the Gold analysis, we have that Fibonacci extension where it seems like the ultimate target would be, or the first target would be, or the next target, we had 25.30, next target would be 25.45, the medium term target. Okay, so we take all these away for now. It's sitting at this point here. I'm looking at this. Okay, it's holding 23.6. Testing dollar index pushing up, which could mean that that's going to come back down slightly or further. We have 38.2 right in the middle there and 50. Right, so gold needs to stay, we're looking for it to stay above 2480 first off. All right, looking for it to stay above 2480. It could rebound at 2495. So what I'm looking at is possibly for it to come down 2495, bounce back up to reclaim that. I'm kind of thinking that it might even test 2480. Right, so I'm actually thinking that gold could trade lower to retest 2480 support. Look for reaction there. I don't want to be selling it down. I know that you can sell it down, but I wouldn't want to be selling it down just because of the big way it's been pushing up. So I would prefer to look for that. Take that away. I would prefer to look for that push down and then look to buy it up. Needs to break this point first. Below 2500. Yeah, hang on. Gold below 2500 could trade lower to retest correction there. Okay, there we go. Right, so a lot of things covered today. No major news. Main things I'm looking at, firstly, gold at a reaction along this area and the support. Not super keen on CAD, neither. I'm never keen on the US Swiss franc. Pound yen is pushing up, euro yen pushing up because of the pound dollar, no, because of the US yen pushing to the upside. Ultimately, we want to stay below that point. Yen is still looking at the downward push. So whatever it goes up, we're looking for that reversal. Maybe we're looking at a push and a test and reject. Okay, so I'll take that away on the yen just because it's coming right up to that 50. We'll consider 61.8 right there. Take that away. You're looking at either it comes up, test and reject, or it comes up, test and rejects back down. So you're looking for a selling opportunity. So I think yen will change to wait for retracement to complete before continuation to downside. Dollar index as well. Dollar index is pushing back up slightly. So I think John was asking earlier this morning, what's the theme for today? I think that you can see that we're looking at retracement, look for it to complete, retracement, look for it to complete. Basically, I think today we've seen big moves yesterday with no major news. It's hit key levels at this point. I don't like trading the retracements because you just never know how far I can go. Um, everyone trades differently. So you can trade the retracement. I would prefer to be waiting, sitting out, waiting for it to retrace. Once it resumes, continuation back down, then I'll get into trades. Okay, so with that said, I'll keep the stream running for a little while more. I want to see whether the retracement is going to end and continue back down. If you have any questions, please join me on the stream. I'll be happy to answer your questions there. If not, make sure you join us on Discord as well. And then if not that, I'll see you on the daily analysis tomorrow. And if you're watching this after the stream, please leave a comment. Let me know what you think, if you have any feedback as well. Take care now, and I'll see you all shortly.